Coach Garner here from hockeytraining.com, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about hockey energy system training. Now, this is going to be a basic overview so that you can understand energy systems. It's a question I get a lot, like what even are energy systems? What is hockey energy system training? Hockey energy system training is hockey conditioning. Conditioning is always relative to the activity that you're trying to get conditioned for. If you ask the average person, hey, who's more conditioned, this marathon runner or this power lifter? Almost everybody on the street is going to say, well, the marathon runner is more conditioned. But that's only because the average person has this preconceived idea that aerobic capacity means more conditioning. That's wrong. The correct question that you should be asking is, conditioned for what? Because yes, the power lifter is in no way conditioned to do what the marathon runner does. However, that marathon runner is in no way conditioned to do what the power lifter does either. So what you need to do with the available sports science to you is identify which energy systems your sport is dominant in, and then train specifically for that sport utilizing those energy systems so that you can maximize the specific conditioning, in this case for hockey. Energy systems are broken down into three main categories: aerobic, lactic, and alactic. Now, most people just refer to them as aerobic and anaerobic, and that's okay. You do have your aerobic system. However, the lactic and alactic systems are both anaerobic. So that's two categories. So you can break it down that simple, but most people in sports science will instead say energy systems and will refer to all three in any high-level discussion of creating sport-specific programs. Now, when it comes to hockey players, you guys are multidisciplinary athletes. You can't get away with only alactic power development, which is what, say, an Olympic lifter or a power lifter would need for conditioning, because you need to have a big gas tank out in the ice. However, you also can't get away with doing only aerobic work like a marathon runner, because you need to be way more explosive and strong than a marathon runner. So this makes you multidisciplinary. You need to actually combine alactic and aerobic work in an optimal way in order to create the benefits that you want to be explosive and have a high level of endurance out in the ice. So a simplistic graph that I've put together for you here to better understand how hockey players should approach energy system training is we've got this setup. We've got hockey player number 1, hockey player number 2, and hockey player number 3. On the side here, we have miles per hour. Let's just say they're running for the sake of simplicity. When you look at the research in the world of conditioning, you're going to come across something known as the Anaerobic Speed Reserve. And you can look up this research. It's absolutely fantastic. What people essentially have done within research groups is they will take test subjects and they will assess their anaerobic speed reserve, but then also their aerobic max. So when you're testing someone's anaerobic speed reserve, you're having them go at an all-out sprint for 3 to 5 seconds to see their absolute peak speed. So this would represent the red. Your peak speed is being your peak explosive anaerobic output. However, with excellent research techniques, you can also analyze somebody's ability to go fast until they step into their anaerobic reserve. So essentially, how fast can a hockey player skate in an aerobic state rather than an anaerobic state? So when you're looking at these three, you would see hockey player number 1 can skate 5 miles per hour before entering an anaerobic state. Hockey player number 2, a little bit faster. Hockey player number 3, a little bit faster. This type of relationship is what's then going to ultimately create your trade-offs. And this is why creating a balanced off-season program is so critical, because you're multidisciplinary, and if you only focus on one, it's like playing hockey with one hand tied behind your back, because you're eliminating one of these entire bar graphs, which is absolutely going to limit your performance. You might think, hey, why wouldn't I just do only anaerobic? Because that's the most explosive. I hear you. It's also the most fatiguing. So this hockey player number 1, you might think, man, he's so explosive. He's crazy. That's right. But he starts getting fatigued this early. So although he's extremely explosive, he's going to be explosive for the first period. Maybe he's explosive for the first 20, 30 seconds out on the ice. And then that guy starts to die off, and he does not help the team a whole lot. We know somebody like that. Big engine, small gas tank. Yet, you have trade-offs on the other side too, because we have another athlete who, let's say the event was you had to maintain 10 miles per hour for as long as possible. The explosive athlete would not last long at all, because they're tapping into their anaerobic reserve, and therefore fatigue accumulations climbing quickly. They're tapping into that early. Whereas number 3 would be able to sustain that effort output for a very long extended period of time. So when it comes to hockey players, I typically like to break up the off season into 6 to 7 phases. But for simplicity here, let's just say it's 6 phases. The first 3 phases, you want to focus on driving this aerobic capacity and power as high as possible, because it's extremely advantageous for a hockey player to skate as fast as possible without experiencing any fatigue. That's the power of the aerobic system. If you can maintain a high speed output and not accumulate fatigue, you've got an awesome gas tank. So I want to push this as high as I can in the first 3 phases. However, in the last 3 phases, when we start transitioning from general physical preparedness into specific physical preparedness, that's when I want to start driving up anaerobic work through anaerobic conditioning, speed training, and agility training. At that point, you've got a high level of aerobic capacity and power, so you've got an excellent gas tank out on the ice. But then, when you need it, you've got an entirely new level of explosiveness and anaerobic conditioning as well. This is the power of periodization and truly thinking through your programs beforehand and understanding energy systems. If you do anaerobic all off season, you'll be explosive, but you're going to fatigue pretty quickly. However, if you do aerobic all off season, which so many hockey players do, they just go outside for a random jog every single day to improve cardio. But cardio for what, right? Goes back to the beginning of the video. Conditioned for what? You want to do specific forms of aerobic training that are good for hockey to drive this up, and then introduce the anaerobic work after, so you can then become the ultimate hockey player. Combine those two. For aerobic work, I find tempo runs, aerobic mobility circuits, and even at-home, limited space, no equipment aerobic circuits are an excellent way to get the job done. And for anaerobic training, this is where things like your sprints, your plyometric movements, your jumps, and even resistance-based conditioning circuits come in as well. This is a basic overview on why you need to care about energy systems and why you need to introduce the correct level of effort to each exercise session that you partake in. I am constantly telling hockey players to not go hard during aerobic training. They will, hey coach, I can go faster. Hey coach, can I shorten the rest periods? Hey, I didn't feel a big burn today. I want to, wrong. Let's save that for your anaerobic work. Because if you go too hard too soon, early in the off season, you're going to end up like this guy. Make sure you respect the effort level for aerobic training so that you can build this as high as possible and then introduce all that crazy stuff later for the anaerobic stuff. All right? Sports science exists for a reason. We want to use it to become the ultimate hockey players, and we'll allow everybody else that's just guessing to be left in the dust behind us out in the ice. All right? Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, you learned something new, make sure you smash the thumbs up button and also subscribe to this channel so that you're the first to know when the next video goes live. And let me know in the comment section right now any video ideas or topics that you want me to cover in the future, because I want to help you absolutely explode this year. Let's go.